Okay, so I wanted to further explain myself because this is going to be my final position or take speaking about this LeBron James and Ty Lue situation. And I want to come at it from a different angle. I want to give you guys a personal story of my own so that you guys can understand and the comparison and why I made the comparison that I did in my last video and why I said that LeBron James is and he isn't responsible for what's going on with Tyronn Lue. Okay, so if anybody works in finance and business, you guys know we deal with deadlines, reports, events, meeting said deadlines at the haste of somebody who is also under immense pressure from their boss and so on and so forth. That's just the way any company works, any particular job works, especially business. You deal with stress, and we all know that stress in African American men, that is one of the leading killers for us. Okay, so when I tell you this story, trust and know that this is why I have the position I have for LeBron James when it comes to this situation and why I said what I said. So let's look at it from this perspective. Now, I was once in a situation where an event coordinator lead, right? Would be comparable to Tyronn Lue. We needed to land a huge account. Okay, so when doing so, his boss said, "Hey, I want you to put together a team, right? It's going to be able to land these big accounts so that by our third quarter, we can cruise to the end of the year." Okay? And there was a major account that we really, really wanted, the company really, really wanted. And they set their eyes out and they only wanted to have their best. Again, this event coordinator lead knew me, heard of my work ethic, called me up and said, "Hey, I would like you to come up and be the number one guy on the account. But I want you to also put together people that you feel are going to be able to close this deal." Okay? I'm putting it on you because you are the guy that comes highly recommended for this position. Okay? We will go out and we will get the best salespeople, the best closers, the best legal people we can to help you finalize this deal. But the onus is on you to get the deal done. Now I'm under pressure. But immediately my event coordinator who vouches for me when it came to his bosses is under equal amount of stress, if not more and greater. Remember, different positions, different pay grades, different type of pressure. And in sports, it's a little bit different than business, but I just want you guys to kind of get the understanding of where I'm coming from. So goes out, recruits, and gets this team that I asked for, guys that I knew from working on deals in the past with, puts those guys together. The deal falls through. We underperform. Okay? This man had already been dealing with the stress of meeting the quarterly numbers, being in charge of a group of people, a group of men who should be responsible and diligent enough to handle their positions that were given to them in the first place. Okay? Now, I knew because me and the lead, the event coordinator, we worked closely together. We had to communicate. We had to understand and know what was going on with each other and what we were doing and our reports and making sure things were finished and done properly. I knew that he was dealing with personal issues outside of work. Okay? And I knew he was dealing with physical things that were going on with him. He was waiting for exams to be finished, and he had to deal with that kind of stress. And then something happened with his daughter when she was away at college that completely stressed him out. I knew he was under that kind of pressure. Okay, I'm under the pressure of, damn, I handpicked all these guys. This account is looking shaky. We need to close this deal. I have to be on top of them. He has to be on top of me. Then he's got a board that's on top of him. You see where I'm going with this, people? Now, here's where I'm going to draw the difference, okay? Now, while we didn't land that account, that major company that we were looking to get, okay? They decided to go a different route. It happens in business. While we didn't do that, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Me being the lead on the team, okay? What if I, knowing what this gentleman was going through, who brought me in, right? Knowing what this gentleman was going through, if I had constantly, if each time, let's say this happened, this didn't happen, but I'm just going to give you guys an example. Let's say each week when they needed reports on where we were, and I delegated that job to one of the people that I had this company recruit for me to get this deal done. If I always kind of said, oh, well, that's on them, or I always didn't, I want to say, accept responsibility for a shortcoming of my staff, you don't think that adds stress to the person who brought me into the company, to the person who, when I sat down with on day one, when I signed the contract to come in and land this account, you don't think that I'm attributing to the toxicity level, mentally and emotionally, environmentally wise, when it comes to this whole situation? And then, not to mention that I already know what the man is going through personally outside of work. So if this man has a heart attack because I looked him in the eye and said, listen, I'm going to get it done. You give me these pieces, I'm going to get this done. And I come up short. There is no way which way you can get around it. I am a part of the problem. I'm a part of the toxicity level because I refuse to take responsibility. I always pass the buck. Oh, it's not my fault. You guys are paying me this amount of money in 6 months to get this deal done and I don't do it. I mean, come on, guys. It's not that hard to understand where if this man had a heart attack, and I'm gonna tell you, anybody who works in finance knows it's sleepless nights, it's long, tenuous meetings, and you have to balance out when you go home, okay, and then what you do, for 8, 9, 10, maybe even 12 hours during the day. Stop. Okay? And I just want people to understand that I'm not saying that. Now, am I responsible for the fact that this gentleman was a tad bit overweight and possibly could have lost weight and would have brought down his hypertension, ate a heck of a lot better? I'm not responsible for his physical. But what I am responsible for is that if I had created, right? If I didn't do my job, if I dropped the ball and then I kept blaming it on someone else, or I kept saying, well, listen, this ain't my fault. I need a new lead. Okay, because see, if I had a different lead, I would be able to do this better. Meanwhile, when they came to me and they said, hey, we can offer you a certain group of people that could work with you, I said no. I knew guys personally that could get this done. And then we didn't get it done. And then as we're coming up short, I'm constantly being an asshole about it. And I know that this man is under immense pressure. Listen, I got my money. My contract is signed, man. Okay, I get paid whether the deal gets done or not. But if I'm sitting up there constantly making the environment around me toxic, and what does that do for the people who I brought in? Think about it from that perspective. I'm the guy that they look to that I gave him, I gave him a bone basically, and said, "Listen, we're gonna get this deal done. And when we do, we're gonna eat from a bigger pie. Mind you, I've already got my money. They don't get paid like I get paid, but once we close the deal and the commission comes in, that's even more money. I'm giving them that incentive. They're making a promise to me, like I'm making a promise to them, to make sure that this job gets done. And what if I was the type of person who, during the course of this, very rough and tough negotiation, things aren't going the way they should be going and smoothly, I'm always passing the buck and saying, "Oh, it's not my fault. I got my money. I'm me. That's on them. That's on legal. That's on accounting. That's not on me." Come on now, guys. You guys can you see just a tad bit where I'm coming from when it comes to the whole LeBron James is not responsible for his physical health, like I was not responsible for this gentleman's physical health, as per the choices he made. Okay, certain choices that he made, put it that way. But I am and was responsible for the environmental toxicity level, lack thereof, or the fact that it was toxic. And by that I mean, if I came in every day and I bitched, I moaned, and I cried and I whined, and I brought a negative perspective and attitude towards us working towards a goal, I am attributing to stress to my lead. That is a fact. This is why we talk about, and when you go to HR events and they talk about hiring and the hiring process and putting together different personalities are going to work and mesh. This is why you want to work with a stress-free environment. Mind you, nothing is always 100% stress-free, but at the same time, you want individuals on your team and a part of your unit that can work cohesively, that's going to get the job done. And even if they encounter issues, they're going to support each other 100%. No, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes about LeBron James and Tyronn Lue, but what we do, and here's something that I will sit here and say this, and maybe people understand in the business term, your reputation means everything in business or in professional anything. If you have a track record, I've seen this happen, ladies and gentlemen. I've been on teams where guy has an impeccable record of closing deals left and right. And you know why he doesn't get the job? Because word of mouth and the other companies that he works for all have the same exact situation that happens. Comes to a team, and there's always fracticide within that team. And yet he just so happens to always, when they read the reports, he's always the one complaining. He's always the one who's putting it on everyone else. So that's my take on it. I hope I further explained it better. If not, I can't tell you. This is my final video on it. I'm out.